In chapter 1, the story is mostly concerned with how the heavens and the earth come into being. It's a rather succinct account, sort of methodical, progressive outline of everything, including the humans. But still, even in outline form, there is clear, strong understanding about what it means to be human. We are made to be like God, stewards of all the earth and everything that is on the earth right from the start, reflections of God, created from the beginning in the divine image of God, female and male, in equal partnership with each other and in partnership with the holy, with amazing responsibilities to watch over everything that is, and blessed with everything necessary for sustaining not only human life, but for continuing to bring ongoing goodness for all of life, for all the world. In this story, being like God is who we are meant to be. Not so much in the next creation story, where becoming like God seems to usher in death for humans. In the first story, the creator of all that is builds responsibility for the world right into the very core of our beings from the beginning of time, giving us the mandate for how we are to live in our world right from the start, making our life's agenda extremely clear, shaping our identity as humans created in the image of God as a reflection of divinity, partnered with God to be like God, responsible for all that has been created, responsible for continuing God's creative work in the world. In the other story, the humans raised the bar for themselves, AGA. You know what AGA is, don't you? Against godly advice. No longer simply working the soil, enjoying the new world in blissful pleasure. Now, by human action, new expectations are upon them. Now life will be a series of choices between good and evil, even when it's challenging to figure out and know the difference between the two. Whether this awesome responsibility for the world and all that's in it, whether the requirement to stand for what is right over against evil, comes to us from the creative power of the universe right from the start, or as a result of human choices and actions, albeit perhaps by accident or mistake, these responsibilities belong to us whether we like it or not. We get to decide whether evil or good will prevail. We get to choose whether there will be life or whether there will be death for ourselves, for our children, for everyone and everything on the planet, for all the world. To go back to where I began with my questions, as I sat in my traditional Sunday school class as a young child, why would it be a bad thing to do something that gives you new knowledge? Seems like a good thing to be able to discern the difference between good and evil. Why would you die just because you learned how to do this? Maybe choosing good is tough sometimes. Sometimes the cost is high. Sometimes the loss is great. Sometimes when you know the difference, you have to choose what is right, even when it's dangerous, even if you die figuratively or literally. Any way you look at it, whatever story you choose, one thing is clear. As humans in this world, we have awesome responsibilities for our own lives, for the lives of others, for all the earth, for everything in our world. We cannot live in blissful ignorance of what is required of us. You may think these huge critical responsibilities were God-given right from the beginning of our species. You may think humans were surprised suddenly to discover their newfound understanding and insight required things of them, things they had not expected or anticipated. You may think humans evolve into higher moral consciousness over time as we grapple with the impact of our actions and as technology and human capabilities make our responsibilities more complex and daunting. However you think about this, one thing is clear. Living the good and the right in our world brings life for ourselves, for others, and for all that is. Living into the evil and wrong in our world brings death of many kinds, death in our own lives, death in the lives of others, death to our world. You may have noticed that there are apples on the table this morning. Following the benediction, I invite anyone who would like to take an apple, and when you eat it, remember, we are able to discern the difference between right and wrong. One way brings life, one way brings death. Sometimes we opt for death by our actions or by our inaction. But God's Spirit empowers us to be strong forces for life in our world, the world that is in constant need of newness of life. As you eat the apple, think about your commitment to following the Jesus way, choosing the good and the right, and standing over against the wrong and the evil. Will you pray with me? Creating God, whose creating active power continues in our world, when we read the written words of our sacred texts, open our hearts and our minds to what these words really said in the beginning. Open our spirits and our lives to your living word for us this day, as day by day we live into the original blessedness of creation. Amen.